Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Soulful Feasts, bite-sized information to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. Now, when we were all little girls, we told ourselves that the great end all be all to have a happy ending was that the girl becomes a princess and gets married to a prince. And then they lived happily ever after. Wrong. Did not happen for me. It did not happen for a lot of women. But you can still live happily ever after, because today we are going to talk about how you have the power to change your story. And today we have with me a friend of mine, a content creator for the past 12 years and an entrepreneur, single mom, Shari Poquiz. Hi, Shari.
Hello. Hi, Steph. Thank you for having me. It's an honor to be here, as I told you when you invited me to guest in your podcast and to share with you and your viewers my story.
So, okay, so if you guys have been following her, Shari is also known as Misty Mom on Instagram. And, I've been following you and your journey for a really long time. And I think I really connected with you when you openly shared about your annulment, because I was going through a similar situation and how difficult it is. So perhaps give the audience, before we dive deep into the topic, because you know what, guys, Shari has never looked hotter than ever, okay?
Wow.
This girl looks amazing, okay? What a free woman looks like, okay? And just totally thriving as a mom, as a woman, putting herself out there, balancing everything, and I think it really shines. So congrats to you, and that's why I invited you here, because I think a lot of women can be inspired by your journey.
Thanks, Steph. Well, of course, that's what you see in social media, but how I am now, I also went through so many bumpy roads, challenges. I had my share of crying in the bathroom, under the shower, the breakdowns and all. So if you're going through that, guys, know that it's not the end. And even if you see me, how Steph described me, yes, but it took a while. It took a long time, and also there are challenges to face, but you can overcome these challenges.
Pinaghirapan natin tong glow.
It's not just effortless.
Hindi lang highlighter. Pinaghirapan, pinaghugot, right?
Yeah, maraming hugot na pinanggalingan, maraming mga pinagdaanan, but that's where we both are now,
exactly.
Right? They made us who we are. So
absolutely.
My story started when I was in my early 20s. I just graduated college. And, I was on my way to working the corporate ladder. I told myself, I'm going to be like this career woman. I'm going to be like a CEO. I'm going to get married when I'm like in my 40s now. So that when I get married, I'm going to tell my husband, if things go awry, get out of my house. Yeah. That was my goal. That was me before. And then God had other plans. I had a story planned for me pala when I got in my relationship then. I got pregnant.
Okay.
And
how old were you?
I was 22.
Okay.
22. And I gave birth to my daughter when I was 23. So I was like a very young mom. And not only that, we also decided to get married early.
Yes. Which, by the way, guys, it's not the right reason to get married. Just because you have a child doesn't mean you can't be good parents without being married.
And I agree. Like, I believe, like, when I look back, I will have my kids over again. But the marriage part, that's probably something I would rethink, right? Because, like, you can... I firmly believe that marriage really, you just have to... It's not something, I'm so in love, I think this is it. Because for sure, you've heard it before na parang, dun na rin naman tayo pupunta eh. So why not, let's get married now.
Yeah, that's not true though.
That's not true. You have to learn, you have to get to know each other more, really make sure if you're, there are a lot of things, right?
Yes.
So anyway.
So you got married at 23.
I got married at 23. And of course, as young marriages go, and we didn't really have a lot of foundation. There are cracks and there are things I tried to work on. Like really, when I look back at it, I'll say that I did my best. Yeah. I really tried to work it out. I didn't just give up, even if it was just 3.5 years. But of course, as a woman, you have your parang alam mo na kung kailan ka dapat umalis na. Sometimes love is also knowing when to let go.
Because you also give the other person the freedom to live their life and to be loved the way they want to be loved. So, I have a lot of friends that are kind of going through something similar too, and they come up to me and it's like, how do you know it's the right decision? I was like, you know what? You know. You shouldn't feel bad for your partner, your spouse, because they also deserve to be loved.
Correct.
The way they want to be loved. They also
Yes.
deserve to be happy. And you're both clearly unhappy, right?
Yes.
And what if there's another woman out there who can give him the happiness, the relationship that he wants,
Yes.
diba? So it's for both people.
I agree,
Yeah.
but of course, diba, you also have to like learn how to communicate. But then, as a young couple, then we didn't know how to like
Yeah.
navigate this marriage, right? And there are a lot of things. I think what drew the boundary for me was knowing what I don't want my kids to go through. Because as a woman, you know, you would go through, if you love someone, you just give it your all.
Yeah.
You'll try everything. You'll give your whole self sometimes.
Yeah.
Kasi alam mo, kaya mo, and whatever happens to you, I can pick myself up. Whatever hardship, sige, kakayanan ko to.
Yes.
But then, when you know that the situation will affect your kids negatively and they'll grow up seeing this kind of dynamic, this kind of marriage, it's not healthy for them.
And just living in that energy.
Correct.
That negative energy. You know, like that space. Kasi, of course, when they're young, sometimes you try to hide the fights, pero nandun pa rin yung tension.
Yes.
You can still feel the bad
Kids can
vibes,
feel,
diba?
yes.
So
Kids are
you
smart,
can
kids
tell.
can
Yeah,
feel, and
absolutely.
you know, a lot of us now, adults, have traumas and issues because when we were young, we were never able to process these things. They were all just swept under the rug, right?
Yeah.
When we were.
But
when-
you feel it
but
and you
feel
absorb it.
And you absorb
right?
it, and
Yeah.
it manifests in so many ways when you're older. What you don't that you don't
Correct.
know na pala. So that's what made me say, this is it. Like, I don't want my kids to feel this energy. I don't want my kids to grow up thinking this is normal.
Yeah.
And this is where I draw the line. And I left with what I was like a young single mom then with how much in my bank account.
How old were you?
I was 25.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh,
25.
yeah.
And I was only working as a blogger. Like, I was earning through that blog. So
Yeah.
sometimes when I look back, I really think that like social media and my blogging, because it paved the way for me to be able to at least have financial the capacity to live.
Yes.
Because a lot of times you can't leave because of course you'd think
Can't
of the
afford
future. You
to,
can't
yeah.
afford to. You think of the kids' future, and I thank God for like whatever I was able to do then, that it was able to sustain me so that okay, I can leave whatever it is I have.
Yes.
I can do this.
So there's a lesson here in trust, and I just want to take a moment to, if you are listening to this and you are doubting that the universe and God will make you salo, they will. It will. So, you know, if this is the right decision for you and your family, if your heart is in the right place, if you really thought about this and you know that that's the way forward, don't be afraid. Don't necessarily I know it's scary because of the financial aspect, but kaya mo. Promise. There will be a way. And women in particular, especially mothers, will find a way to
Find a
support their
way.
children. Yes.
And just to add to that, that's really true because when I left, I think a lot of things brewing in my mind, right? But then ultimately when I was able to walk away and like just say, okay, I'm done here, all the projects poured in, like no other, like how you said, God will really provide, like the universe will give you the all the, like, you know that you're making the right decision because you won't be left alone.
Yes.
And that's how up to now I'm still here, you know.
So how long ago was that until you got your annulment? Because it's such a long process.
Yeah, so we technically separated when I was 25, and we started the annulment when I was just at that same year.
Yeah.
But I got it, so that was 2015, and then I got my annulment just 5 years after.
Isn't that crazy? Mine took
5
also 5 years.
5 years.
And it's crazy because you're really held hostage. Like you
Yeah.
can't get a bank loan, you can't do anything, you can't buy a house, you can't nothing without
you just
the
you
signature.
can't really do anything because while it's ongoing, there are so many things you have to, and it's not just that, the process is it's like throwing mud at each other. It has to be like that, or else your annulment might
Which
not be
is
granted.
so ugly.
Yes.
And it's such a painful
That's why
process.
we should have divorce soon.
Agree. Okay, we've covered this so many times on this podcast. All the women here, we are pro-divorce
Yes.
because it is such an ugly process and it's not healthy for the children.
Yes.
Because annulment is like really trying to demonize each other
Exactly.
when it doesn't have to be.
It doesn't have to be. It
Yeah.
can be amicable, but with annulment here in the Philippines, I don't think people really know how it makes everyone suffer. Just so
Correct.
that you can really get the marriage
Yes.
void, right?
So when was the lowest point for you? Like, can you share with us na parang, how am I going to get through this? This
Yeah.
is really difficult. Like, I'm scared.
I think the lowest point was before I was able to, like, I already made a decision, but to follow through with it. You know, I've laid out all the points. Yes, this is why I should. Yes, you should. It's like everything is go ahead. But then the doing it part was like, I was in social media. Back then, people never talked about like heartbreaks and annulments and divorces or separations. It was like the golden age of Instagram, right, which it kind of just started, and
Yeah.
everything was just highlights and good points. And here I am, my marriage is done. How do people know about it? How do I even address it? Do I even address it? Because
Yeah.
who am I? Who am I to make a statement like that, right? Or like it's an ugly part. What would people think of me? What would my friends think of me? There's so many things in your head.
And also, that was the golden age of like mommy blogging.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I went through that. Na parang sasayaw ka with the diapers. It was like you're like the perfect mom. You can do everything.
Everything, yes.
And like, I know what you mean because personally, I was going through major depression. I wasn't really going through my separation yet at that time, but at that time it was beginning, right? And you always just had to put your best foot forward,
Yeah.
right? So that's another kind of like messed
That was
up.
even now, even if it's like the real age now, like be authentic, it's still hard to get
Yeah.
out there and share like diba, raw stories like this. And even when I shared, so there are a lot of things in my mind that I think what helped me lang was really being able to divert that, because I had my kids, so I was able to like look at them and see these angels na parang do they deserve this? No. And then also me na parang, do I deserve this? My parents raised me to go like to go to these schools, to learn all these things, and at the end, will they allow me to just stay in this miserable relationship
and existence? Yeah.
So there are a lot of things na parang I know, yes, I can go on, but how do I take a step forward? And it was those moments where I'm just like tulala, either
Yeah.
like on the ceiling or like crying myself, like hiding away from my friends didn't even know what I was going through, because I didn't want to
Because
feel
there's
like
shame also, no?
there's shame,
Yeah.
yes. There's being a burden. It's like in my
Yeah.
head, like you went through this and you should pangatawanan mo yung decision mo.
Yes,
You
yeah.
know? So I felt alone at that time as well, and there weren't any resources. I was 20s. Like everyone around me they weren't married yet or even thinking of marriage at 25. So I felt alone. I think now it's a better time.
Yeah.
Because we're all
Much more open.
being able to be
Yes.
able to share this story. When I shared mine, like a flood of women messaged me
Yeah.
on Instagram na I'm still married, but I think it's been long gone. That I've been a long gone single mom.
Yeah.
And there are so many women who just need someone to like tell them it's okay. You're not alone.
Yeah.
And it's normal, and you have a choice.
So let's bring it back to today where, you are your shiny, glowy self and like living your most authentic you, basically, which is kind of the goal for everybody, right? Living our most authentic lives. And what's it like to be a single mom nowadays in Manila? Like dating and, like, is it hard? Like, I don't know. What's it like for you right now?
Well, first of all, how many years has it been? So 9 years.
Wow.
So it's been 9 years since I separated. Like 6 years since I was annulled. No.
Yeah.
20. Almost, yes. So dating, we'll get to that later, but like what I learned was, oh my gosh, there are so many things that I like and I enjoy doing that I never really had the time to discover when I was married, when I was busy raising my kids. So I think one of the best parts is, when you're young, you think you have this fairy tale image, right? But when you grow older, like when you get into your 30s, you realize, oh my gosh, I like pala sports. I like pala like discovering, like meeting, like going out, meeting people.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're, even now as a mom, you have mom guilt, right?
Yes.
You always take a step back and think, do I deserve this? Because I have kids. I don't think I can deserve to like go out to dinner and stay up until 11 because my kids are waiting for me. So parang you always have that mom guilt.
But that's not true, though.
That's
I
not
mean, let's. I'm gonna put it out there. Banish the mom
Yes.
guilt. Really, like I still get it, but I also remind myself again a quote that I said before here, and I say all the time by Carl Jung. There's no greater burden on a child than the unlived life of a parent.
Yes.
So it's so important that you are your most fulfilled self. There's always a balancing act, and as a mother when your children need you and when you need to be at
Yes.
home. So like for me, I'm constantly trying to set boundaries as well of like, okay, X number of nights at home, because you know what? I actually like being at home now because I'm happy.
Yeah.
Diba? I think when you're unhappy in your relationship or with yourself, labas ka lang ng labas, right? Like, but then now I'm like, I actually love being at home, but then so I don't feel guilty na, tonight I'm gonna go out with my friends, or tonight I'm gonna go out, like I'm with a partner now, so it's like go out without you, or go out the two of us, or go out and see friends, and there's no more guilt in it, right?
So I think that's one of the great things that I overcame nga, because when I was married, when I was like a young mom, I had so much guilt. Like, I think it's also in the partner, right? Because a great partner won't ever make you feel like that. So even without a partner, you have your own pressure to deal with, which is like, it was a breath of, like a sigh of relief. One of the things I overcame was, I know my kids are loved, they're great. Like no one else can tell me or make me feel bad about what I'm doing with my life, because I know my kids.
Yes.
I know when they're thriving, when they're not, when they need me.
Yeah.
Even when I don't, I will be there. But it won't stop me from living the life that I want to live.
And what a great example for your children, because isn't that what we all want as mothers? For our children to live their lives as greatly and as expansively as possible. It's what we want as any parent, right?
And even as a child, you're happy when you see your parents are happy.
It's true.
Not when they're just helicoptering over you all the time.
Kainis. Yeah.
Diba?
Oh my God, live your life.
Let me make my own mistakes. So that's one great thing. So discovering things about myself and actually letting myself go out there. It took me a long time before I actually stepped into dating. I was so preoccupied with work, building like a career for myself, working on things I wanted to do, businesses. So I really focused on that, and it actually helped me become more confident.
Yes.
Because through the trials and the tribulations of entrepreneurship, being a content creator in this, it was very fast paced and very like, you have to evolve or you die. Right?
I know. I didn't evolve fast enough. So hard. Oh my God.
But here you are now, evolved. So I guess there was a time when I was there, like in the rat race, and I got burnt out, and then I took a step back, relaxed, and focused on my hobbies.
Yeah.
And the learning here is now I actually know what I want in a relationship. Should I step into getting into a serious relationship again? I've been dating, but the apps, I've tried them. I went out with two, siguro. Like it's tiring to keep on like doing small talk, right?
Yeah.
Parang, oh my gosh, dati BBM lang kami, and like,
BlackBerry Messenger. Oh
What's
my
your
gosh.
BBM pin?
Guys, if you understood what BBM is, you are our generation. BBM was not Marcos. It was BlackBerry Messenger.
And you had to give each other your pins.
Yeah. Actually, I even got to the age of beeper before, but matagal na yan. No, so okay, so today, like, what made you decide that you were ready to start dating again? Because I think that's a big hurdle for a lot of women. So maybe a lot of women who are single moms who have made that difficult decision to leave an unhappy marriage, to take their children with them, support their children, and are thriving. They are afraid to let love back into their lives, or even just be open to the idea. So what made you realize, like, what was the turning point na, okay, I'm ready?
I think I really had to look deep in myself, because a lot of times when I was having conversations with my friends, it's like, I don't believe in love anymore. I'm so jaded. It's like, yeah, there's the honeymoon part, but I'm sure it'll always end like how it ended, like how it ends. It's like I'm already in that stage of thinking. I'm so jaded. But then that's when I came across Brene Brown's Rewriting Your Story, the narratives in her head. So that's when I realized, wait lang. What happened? Like, she said that there are things that happen to us in our lives, whether it be a breakup, like you lose your job, whatever heartbreak you go through. And sometimes, to make sense of these things, we have narratives, or we tell ourselves stories to be able to cope. And most of the time, these stories aren't even true. They're false. So, for example, my marriage ended. My marriage failed. That's the fact. But in our heads, we think, oh, I don't deserve love. I don't think I'm deserving of love. I don't think men will love me again because I'm like this, I'm like that. It's like you have so many things already that you have written about you in your head. So when you go out there, it deters you, right? Parang,
absolutely.
Why would I even give dating a chance when this is the story I have in my head?
Yeah.
But before getting to that point na you know the story, parang I didn't realize that. I didn't realize that I had those narratives in my head na I don't think I want to get married again. That's what I think. But deeper than that pala, I have so many things in my head na, oh, no one will love me ever again. I'm undeserving, right?
But you need to take that time for those insights to come up, right? So it takes time also,
it takes
right?
time. She says that you have to reckon with your emotions. You know, when you're dead reckoning is like when you're out in the sea or in the air, you don't make use of any external factors and you try to see where you are. That's what she says, like, you have to do. Like, you have to reckon with your emotions. Where are you in your life right now? Like, remove all the external voices of what other people saying, other people's expectations of you. Where are you, and what do you feel? What are the thoughts in your head, or what stories do you have in your head na you don't even know that you have?
Absolutely.
So, I think that's where it started for me na why am I so negative when it comes to dating?
You know, honestly, I was really quite lucky because what happened was after I broke up with my ex, the pandemic happened, and I had it was a very difficult time, don't get me wrong, but in hindsight it was such a healing time for me because I had time to be alone with my thoughts, to be alone with myself. Like, I had my own schedule, I had to be alone with my kids, to go to sleep in my bed alone every night and be okay with it, and to really reflect on the things that, who am I really? And my narrative was na parang, this is really who I am. Parang, I have these traits, I have these patterns, it's really who I am. Kind of like you, I felt that like there was no space for long, real, lasting love. Because I'm like this, I had all this. But really, when I realized that, well, why do I have to accept those patterns? And are they even really mine? Did I inherit them? Was it modeling from when I was a child? And at the end of the day, parang I realized na I can choose who my character in this life is going to be. And when you get to choose and be sovereign of your life, then you can choose where your story is going to go. So rather than being a character that's being narrated, you become first person narration of your story.
Yes.
Diba?
So even in our daily lives, kasi we encounter these things, and I think which is a source of conflict, right?
Yes.
So for example, your partner opens a fridge and it's like, there's no food. Why don't we have food? Or there's no food. We don't even have corned beef. And you're like the partner, and you're like, why don't you shop? I shop all the time. And like you become so defensive because you think that you are lacking. Oh, I'm lacking. I can't do all these things. You have that narrative agad in your head that there's something wrong with you. So I think it's because sometimes you have these narratives because you don't want to be vulnerable. We want to put the blame on someone. Sometimes it's others. Sometimes it's ourselves. We want to own up to it right away, and like, or sometimes you don't even want to notice them. So I think one thing that changed is like the story I'm hearing or the story I have in my head is this when you're communicating with others, right? Because parang sometimes, you feel like you're communicating, but really you have a different story, and you're not connecting.
Correct.
So you're not comprehending each other.
Yeah.
So coming off from that, I think that's when I realized that, oh, my marriage ended, but all these things, they're not me. They're not who I am. All the things that happened in my marriage just happened. And I'm still this person. I am different. I'm someone who can stand up. I can fight. I can pick myself up. Wherever I am in life, I know I can, whatever job I have to get to sustain my kids, I'll go for it. I can rise and I can thrive again. So when you own up to the stories, you can rewrite it.
Absolutely.
Because if you don't own your stories, your stories or that narrative in your head will own you.
Yeah.
And that'll really
And then
drown you.
basically, you don't own your life. You are just operating out of your subconscious. All your subconscious hurt and pain and trauma is what's driving you and your decisions.
Yes.
So that's really, well, bravo to you, because you know what, ladies? Your marriage might end, but life doesn't have to.
Yes.
And honestly, you only have one wild and precious life. What are you going to do with it?
Yeah.
Right? So and again, especially if you have children, be that example, right? Be that wonderful example. Thanks so much, Shari. Do you have, before we end today, do you have any piece of advice for women who are, I guess, just beginning this process? And they're kind of lost and afraid.
One really tip I have that also helped me was to have just one good support system, one friend, one person that you can talk to or share all, be vulnerable with. It's so hard to be vulnerable. Even with your family, it's hard to be vulnerable. But if you have that one person, I have my best friend who has really helped me throughout all of this. I bear everything to her, and she's the one who, you have to have a girl's girl who will be there to help you, support you, back you up, wherever it is, whatever chapter it is you are in your life. And if you don't, then that's why I made this. I did this guesting because I know how it is to feel alone.
Yeah.
You can send me a DM.
Yes, reach out to us. We will
send
write back.
Just send the long rant message. If you don't have a friend or you're not, because I went through it. I don't want to burden anyone. You're not burdening anyone, just so you know. But you have that long rant and you just say it. A lot of women do that to me, and I just want to send you this because I have no one else to talk to, and they send it.
Everyone needs that ride or die, and I'm going to take a moment to have a shout out to my ride or die, Rocio. Hi, I see you. She's the type of person that I will message in the middle of the night. It's 2 a.m. I need a car. Can you get it running? And she's like, okay, tell me where.
Yeah.
I don't even know what did you do wrong. I don't know. Whatever you did, I'll be your accomplice.
Yes.
Never mind. No questions asked.
Too. Pow, shout out to my best friend.
Yes. Here's to all our ride or dies. Everyone needs one that they can call in the middle of the night and be like, I need a car. I need a getaway car.
I don't know what you did, but here
we'll be there. Exactly. So, my advice to women is also don't rush the process. It's okay to not be okay.
Yes.
I think, perhaps the flip side of Instagram is also like showing people that like, yes, I went through a hard time, but now I'm okay. That process took a really long time. Don't kid yourself. So if you need to take time to sit in your feelings, to feel the misery and the hurt and the pain, do it.
Yes.
Give yourself the grace. And because life is difficult and we have children, particularly single moms, right? You have children and you need to go to work and you need to show up for them, then schedule the time for grief, hurt, and depression. I know it sounds super weird, but the world doesn't stop, even if sometimes things stop for us and we just want to sit in our room and sob, right?
Yes.
And we don't always have the privilege of doing that for like weeks on end if that's what we want to do. So show up, look good, feel good about yourself, show up for your job, show up for your kids, and tell yourself, okay, once my kids go to bed, this is my time to grieve. This is my time to not be okay.
Yes.
This is my time to be angry, to have these feelings, to have whatever. Schedule it. Don't bottle it up.
Yes.
Because if you just keep, I'm going to push forward, I'm never going to shed a tear, you will break because you're not processing those feelings. So you need to process it and allow yourself the grace to do that, to not be okay. It's okay to not be okay,
Steph, I just want to add to that last, because that is like probably what every single mom wants to hear.
Yeah.
That it's okay. Like sometimes I have kids. I had to be a warrior. And for so long, I was like that. I was autopilot. I'm a soldier. I'm on survival mode. Most single moms are like survival mode all the time. You don't even get to stop and think about your emotions, how you feel, where are you in life, what do you want to achieve. You just have to keep doing it because you have kids who will not be able to eat, who will not, a household that will not function if you don't show up.
Yeah.
So that's very overwhelming at times too.
And you will burn out.
You will burn out.
Or get sick.
Yes. Both at the same time. You explode. And I've been there so many times.
Yeah.
And I just, if anything I would have wanted to hear, it's okay to not be able to do it all.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Absolutely. I actually show my children when I'm not happy because I don't want them to think that life is always about being happy and 100% good, because there are days too when they're not feeling well, and they should have the space to express it. Exactly. So, sometimes I'm init ulo or whatever, and I'll just be like, I'm so sorry, Mama didn't have a great day. If it's appropriate, I'll share with them why. If not, I'll give them a sort of appropriate answer why. And I'll be like, I really can't, manage today. Like, we'll have dinner, then I'll put you guys to bed. Good night, and then I need space. I tell them I need space because it's important to honor the low points also. And I think it's bad modeling for children to show that you're always perfect, right? Because then it's also pressure for them.
Yeah, that
right?
Even if they have emotions, they have to show up and be perfect.
Correct. Absolutely. Yes. So thank you so much, Shari. This was super
Thank you, Steph.
Great. And can you invite everyone, like, where can they reach out to you?
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram and TikTok, The Misty Mom. And please check out also my bag brand, Rory and Sloan. We're on Lazada, Shopee, and TikTok.
Yeah, love it. Oh my God. I love a great working mom entrepreneur plug. Thanks so much,
Steph.
Shari.
Thanks,
and
everyone.
Thank you guys so much for listening. And again, you're not alone. If there's one takeaway today, you are not alone. Feel free to reach out to us anytime. If you're going through a tough time, I too have hosted some women's circles that are just contribution based, and we'll start opening online ones once a month so that you just have a space to be you. And unburden yourself, or just be in community. So you're not alone, you are loved, and you are special. This has been such a great conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. This is Stephanie Zubiri on Soulful Feasts, bite-sized information to nourish your body, mind, and spirit.